All righty, everyone. What is up? Sorry for being here a minute late. We were working through some technical difficulties. I think in the year of 2022, if someone doesn't understand technical difficulties, then you haven't been paying attention. And that's just a part of our life now, and it's okay. So long story short, we're here. We have a great guest with us today that I'm actually excited to have on the live stream. As you can tell, there's a little bit of a buffering going on and all that kind of stuff. I'll do my best to make sure the conversation stays smooth and on task. So before I get into introducing our guest right now, let me just do a few introductions of myself, this program, what you can anticipate, what you can expect from today's talk. So my name is Param. I do this free family education and support group each and every single Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I kind of do a variety of different things. Last week, we brought a therapist and did an interview with a therapist. I'll do some psychoeducations on addiction, mental health, communication. I will also typically do some guests. And one of the guests and one of the passions that I have is being able to bring back our successful alumni and being able for you to hear their experience, strength, and hope, and who they were before the recovery process, what happened during the recovery process, and what they are doing now as a part of their recovery process. And this gentleman that I'm going to introduce to you guys right here, Mr. Eric, is someone who went through our Buckeye Recovery Program at some point, and I'll let him share, the details of all that. But the most impressive part about it is today that he's a professional that I could honestly call a colleague. I mean, Eric doesn't work for our facility or our network. However, he is in the field of addiction and recovery and treatment. And yeah, what's up, everyone on the side saying hi? The counselors, Jim just said hi. Tony said hi. Jose, the father, said hi. So Eric, I'm going to pass it on to you real quick. Just kind of introduce yourself. Tell us what you do, and then I'll go through an interview process, okay? Oh, we just lost him right now, but he's coming back, I promise. And everyone else, just again, so you know, our guest today is Eric. I'm going to bring him back on.
Sorry, I'm back.
It's okay. It's okay, man. So go for it, Eric. Share a little bit about yourself, and then I'm going to start asking you some questions about your journey, okay?
Okay. So like he said, my name's Eric. I am originally from North Carolina. Went to rehab in Georgia and then had the luck to actually get introduced to Buckeye through the treatment center I went to. And when I went there, my experience was great. And, the people there helped me tremendously through a really tough time. I used to, worry about, my meds on a daily basis. Now I'm, okay. So, we went from one extreme to, I actually get to live this life now and actually enjoy my life. And, went through 15 years of being an addict to now 4.5 years of being sober. And, it's been quite a journey. Seen my brother die of an overdose. I've seen other friends and other family members die of, addiction issues. And, I'm still here. And, I chose to do what these people, helped me to do, which was, to give back and to help other people that are struggling with the same thing that I struggled with. So now I get to do that on a weekly basis. And, sometimes it's trying at times, but, for the most part, it's nice to wake up with a purpose on a daily basis to, go out and help others. So.
Yeah, good on you, Eric. So I want to slow that one down real quick because you shared a lot that I want all the family members watching this to capture some of that, because Eric said 15 years of active addiction. And I do know his story pretty well, but 15 years of active addiction, and one of those, watching your brother overdose and die of addiction is probably one of the hardest hits that anyone could take. 15 years of active addiction, going into rehabs, coming out here. And he said he's 4.5 years sober. And when he first got into treatment, his most important thing was freaking out about his medications and his mental health and all that kind of stuff. And now I do know you live actually really healthy. I watch you from a distance. I know you really live a really healthy lifestyle, and you do a lot of stuff for your physical health and a lot of stuff for your relationship. I mean, you're doing a lot of really cool stuff, which we'll catch into right now. But can you walk us back to the beginning? Okay. Because right now we're watching the ending, but the ending doesn't make sense unless you know where the beginning comes from. So whatever level you feel comfortable with in terms of talking about various substances, all that kind of stuff, I'm not going to, you can just say substances. So tell us when and where did your substance use begin, And then when and where did your substance use start to escalate and kind of rev up?
Well, I mean, I started drinking when I was 15. So I was very good at playing, baseball. So it was like I played varsity baseball as a freshman. So I was always around all the seniors and, wanted to fit in. So I started drinking. But then it's funny. I look back now and like the drinking it wouldn't have mattered what situation. I just enjoyed being able to get out of myself, and not have to feel the pressures of school, sports, or whatever it may be. It was just like a release I've never experienced before. And, I was addicted at that age, like looking back now, and I didn't know it at the time, but, I went from, partying and drinking on, every weekend to, doing that on a daily basis, pretty much. I mean, as much as I could in high school, still attended school. I never, left school or anything like that. But, at least every weekend it was Friday, Saturday, all night long, and then Sunday recovering, and then, sometimes doing it during the week. But it wasn't until college that, I still drank all the time in college as well. And then started taking Adderall and drinking at the same time. And just the Adderall to get through, sports practice, because I played baseball in college as well. And so it was, to get through practice, to study all night, to get through the day. It was practically, I had a guy that I could buy his whole script, and just, I had like unlimited supplies. So went from that to, escalated to cocaine. Now I'm drinking, taking Adderall and cocaine. And then it's pretty much any substance I've ever done I just love to do it because the feeling was not my normal feelings, So then after I got hurt in college, they prescribed me opiates to try to keep me to keep playing or whatever, and that's when everything really escalated to couldn't sleep anymore because of Adderall. So now I'm prescribed Xanax as well. That's when everything kind of started getting out of control. When I reached probably like my 20s, like 2021, I was kind of maintaining. I got out of, school and sold insurance because my dad was doing it and made pretty good money. But, once the pain pills started like really becoming like a huge issue where I'm sick every day and I'm waiting on my drug dealers for 3 hours when they say they're going to be there in 15 minutes and, sick in my car and all types of stuff. That's when I knew, I didn't know I had a problem. I just thought that was I thought that was normal. Like people sit in their car for 3 hours in a Walmart parking lot waiting for the drug dealer, but, just kept escalating. And towards the end, it got really, really bad due to, seeing my brother pass away. And I was on Suboxone at the time to try to stay off of pain pills. And I was taking about 30 milligrams of Xanax on a daily basis.
Wow.
And, it was weird. I had this, this was after my brother died, and, I never planned on stopping. I never, had a plan to do any of this. And I remember I was sitting outside of this apartment I was getting ready to get. I was getting ready to get another apartment. Like, that's a great idea when you have a, $500 a day drug habit, but I remember looking at it, and it's as clear as day. I don't know who it was. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was God. I don't know if it was my brother. I don't really know, but it was like something literally said, and I could almost remember it in my ear of, if you get that apartment, you're going to die. Yeah. And I don't know why that happened. I don't know, where that came from. And the next, I think it was 3 days later, I left for treatment.
Yeah, man. Can you in the progression, by the way, what Eric was talking about there's something called the progression of substance use, right? Alcoholism, drug dependency. And the progression here from him, it went on for something that's called binge drinking. So this is common with younger adults. High school happens, Friday, Saturdays, kind of binge drinking. It's episodical, kind of drinking a lot for a short period of time and doing it back-to-back nights. This happens a lot of times in colleges also. So binge drinking is where he started, but because of his supreme athletic abilities to be a varsity athlete at the age of 15, society patting you on the back saying, hey, you're good, you're good, you're good. We're not worried about you. I'm pretty sure you are an intelligent guy, so you're probably getting by with school and all that kind of stuff with no problem.
Mm.
So from the outside, family, society, everyone says, he's just a high school kid doing high school things and doing fine. And when you went off to college and now you're a collegiate athlete and the practices are, times 5, the schoolwork is times 5, the freedoms are times 5, and somebody is already binging on alcohol and substances, you could see how it's a perfect storm for the need to be able to stay awake for extended period of times happens. And that's one thing with Adderall medication. People might not know this. It's prescribed for ADHD. Adderall, when abused, and if I had to guess, Eric, what milligrams of Adderall are we talking here that you were taking in college?
30s. Yeah, 30s. Like it wasn't like I didn't start with the 10s or 20s or, it was the highest amount that,
Yeah, these
it was multiple of those a day. It was like, it wasn't like it was just one. It was one during the morning to get through. Yeah. When I started to feel, and here's where the addict thing comes into play is like, when I started to feel that down, like I was coming down from it, immediately I'm taking another one, because not only did it assist me, right? It did assist me with staying up and studying, and like I made like probably the best grades I could, like especially using substances, but it was also the feeling part of it. Like I loved the feeling of it, and the like excitement, and everything was just like better because I was taking it. So
absolutely. So everything
it wasn't just better.
No, it's called the enhancements of life, right? So you're actually speaking better, you're communicating better, everything's more vibrant, except you're not eating. Probably, I assume I can guarantee you weren't eating.
Not at all. No.
So the one thing about this is, and this is really important, by the way, for all the family members watching this. There's something significant that happened here in Eric's life, and this is not about his brother passing away yet. When Eric got injured in college, and he no longer had the identity of the star athlete that he was his entire life, there is a void that gets created in the life of a human being, especially at a 20-year-old impressionable human being, is like, who the hell am I? Like, what do I do now? Where am I going to go now? All I have ever known is just got taken away from me from this injury. This happens to a lot of athletes, and the higher level athlete they are, the bigger that fall is. And then you get prescribed pain medication for the injury. And it's the person that already has expressed, I like the effects produced by drugs and alcohol. It keeps me out of my head. It takes away the pressures. Now you add Xanax and you add opiates to the mix, and you can see how this individual is just going to be checked out. I mean, just checked out. And he said he did some insurance stuff, made some good money. But I'll tell you this, money isn't the problem for people that struggle with addictions. The more money you make, the more money you spend, because it just becomes a byproduct of that lifestyle.
It made it worse for sure.
Oh, 100%.
It made it worse.
And the progression of alcoholism and dependency here happened from this gentleman from the age of 15 to what is that, like 22, 23 that you're talking about?
Yeah. And I used pain pills from like 21 to, I think it was like 26, 27, and then almost 3.5 years of Suboxone to stay off of it.
So that's like it goes into a whole decade now, my friend. So it's going into a whole decade of substance use and even trying. When he's saying Suboxone, I know that individual is trying to not be on pain medications, just trying to do a more non-abusable route, all that kind of stuff. And I think that's a part of the journey, believe it or not. That's a part of the journey. So Eric, tell us when you got to that moment of saying, hey, if I get another apartment for myself, that we'll call it a, spiritual awakening moment, or just some higher power, whatever you want to call it, that voice that told you, if you get this apartment, you're going to die. What happened from there? And by the way, where was your relationship with your family at this point? So was family still in your corner? Were they afraid? Were they supportive?
Yeah, they were, and this might be helpful to families to hear this portion of it, because I have a very, I don't even know the word for it, very strange relationship with my family. They are supportive, but on the other side of that, they were very, very enabling my entire life. They literally said, basically, I'll flash back to that in a second, but I'm going to go back to the high school thing, right? It's like they're allowing me to drink in their house due to the fact, and having like 80, 90 people over at the same time, everybody's drinking at the same time. But they said, as long as I'm home, they know that I'm safe. So we'll allow you to do this in our home, which is insane now. You know, at the time it was like, yeah, my parents are the cool parents, you know, but it's like, it's insane. And this happened every weekend for from freshman year. Well, yeah, basically 4 years, freshman year to senior year. Like this was a weekend, every weekend thing. How nobody ever got a DUI or died, I don't know. Like it's like a miracle. But this same cycle has continued on into these later years where I tried to hide my pain pill problem from them, my opiate addiction. But then, you know, they eventually found out because I didn't have money to pay for these things anymore. And I've, you know, traded things. I've done all these different things to get these medications from off the street. Now my parents are now buying me pain pills, going to my drug dealer's house when I'm not even there, and picking pain pills up for me, you know. And it's, you know, I look back on that now, it's like, man, that is just insane. But in the time, I mean, they were just like, well, we don't want you to feel sick. We don't want you to be sick. We don't, you know, all these things. And it's like so enabling me to stay in my addiction, you know, and it really had a negative impact on my life.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Eric. I actually want to say that, so what you're explaining right now is actually a form of codependency. So the codependent, which your mom and dad here, the enabling that they do or did, is codependent behavior. And I want everyone to hear this right now. You know how he said it just sounds insane? Because it actually is insane. Because what happens is the codependent starts to do things, act in ways, behave in ways, think as same ways as the person struggling with addiction does. They actually become just as sick. Now, the difference is they become just as sick without even using the substances. And it's all out of, it's underlying two things. It's fear and love. They're doing everything out of fear. They don't want anything bad to happen to you. And it's because they love you so much. However, that message needs to be shifted a little bit, because at the time they're doing the best they could with what they knew. And to give your parents a little, nod on the back, tap on the shoulder, I'll tell you this. My mom, which watches this, I'm pretty sure she's watching this right now. My mom would do the same thing with house parties at our house. I mean, I literally could do whatever the hell I wanted to inside the home. As long as I was there, I wasn't driving and everyone was there, we were safe. Like, she legitimately didn't care. It was really odd. And she's like, at least he's home, at least he's home. And my mom told me she used to wait till I come home sometimes to hear me throw up in the bathroom, right? To hear me throw up in the bathroom because I was spinning all the time when I get home, just so she could fall asleep at night. She's like, the sound of your throw up was like, it was like her lullaby that she could go to bed at night. I mean, it's like, that's how sick they get. And my mom is completely the opposite of that now. You know, she's really strong now because of the work she's done herself. But there are other parents watching this, Eric, that I bet you, man, they've gone to dealers' houses, they've paid off debts, they've picked up drugs, they've talked to other family members to get scripts. I mean, they do some odd behavior. And you know what the sad part of all this is? That the addict side of us, when we're in our addiction, knows that and knows how to manipulate the living shit out of that. You know what I mean?
100%. I used to do it all the time.
Oh, I know, man. I know. And it's just, that's the ugliest parts of our addiction, I think, is we consciously and unconsciously take advantage of those who are trying to help us the most, you know? And that's those are the living amends, which I know you've done a wonderful job making as you've gone in your recovery process. So now you got into treatment. What was the decision to get you into treatment? Whose decision was it? Was it a family thing? Take us through that.
No, it was actually mine. I went to my dad and told him, like, I can't do this anymore. And, I feel like I'm going to end up the same way as Nolan, my brother, and I was like, there's only really three options of what's going to happen. I either go here, I die, or I'll end up in prison because I'm carrying around crazy amounts of drugs in my car at all times, So I went there. And it's funny, the first few days I was there, they had me on these all these meds because I came in on so much stuff. They were scared, something was going to, worried something was going to happen. And I remember I was feeling great. I was like, man, I'm eating food. I just feel awesome, because I didn't know what these meds actually did, in the beginning of treatment when you're on so many things. And then around day 7, reality kicked in, and because they took the meds away, and I had a 40-day withdrawal straight,
Mm.
and it was awful. Couldn't walk. I couldn't, like, literally had to have like 8 shots of like Toradol, like in my back to walk up like 12 steps.
Jesus.
Like it was insane. And, I was in the most mental and most physical pain I've ever experienced in my entire life for, that said 40 days. And then finally, a few days after that, I started feeling a little bit better. I could finally eat like something, which was nice again. And, there was 3 times I wanted to leave in treatment. I called my dad because I know I can manipulate him. We already went over that. Like, hey, I'm good. Like, come pick me up. Like, I'm good. I'm 6 hours away, and he would have been there in the morning. But it was funny. Every single time that I did that, I'd walk out of this phone room where we had to make the calls. And this one guy, there's always like a few people you really look up to in like, these treatment places where it's like you connect to them and things like that. And, he would always like walk in right as I'm getting off the phone. And he's like, Eric, what's going on? And I'm like, nah, fuck this. I'm leaving, screw this place. And he would always sit down and talk with me. And then I'd be like, damn, they got me to stay again, damn it. And, I wound up staying, and, I heard about Buckeye through like the discharge, like planning lady that did it at Black Bear in Georgia. And, I was like, damn, I'm going to go to California. That sounds insane. That sounds crazy. But, like, I don't want to go back to North Carolina because, like, I kind of know what's going to happen if I return there. Like, I wanted to go back, but, like, deep down, like, I knew, and, like, I listened to that intuition of, like, maybe try something different. Like, some of them just kept telling me to do that. And, I came out there. I was still sick. I mean, I came out here. I was still sick, but for a little bit of time. But, like, through the support and everything there and, IOP, like, I just started to see little improvements. And, finally I had a goal to, like, I want to do what these people do. And, went back to school for that while I was, still in IOP. I think it might've been the tail end of it. I can't remember, but then, I just kept doing that. And, I saw my life changing. And, now I've been in California for it'll be 5 years in December, and it's crazy. Do I like paying California rent? No, but it's okay.
It's okay,
But,
man. I don't like paying California rent either.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible. But
I'll tell you this. So
place,
when you got on that plane and you came to California, and you started the recovery process, how long did it take for you to get, whether inspired, motivated, excited for what recovery has entailed? Because like before that, like your life, you just explained to us that I was in a 40-day detox. I couldn't walk up 7 stairs without getting a bunch of shots. I was in so much psychological, emotional, physical pain. And the life before that, you already outlined how, sitting in your car for 3 hours in a Walmart parking lot, waiting for the drug dealer to bring your drugs 3 hours ago, sounds as miserable as life could possibly get. At least you have the car. The worst version of that would be if you were not in the car and you were waiting in the parking lot by yourself, right? So that would be the worst version. But to go from there to coming out here and saying, okay, I want to try something new. How long did that take? Because there's family members that are watching this right now. I know they are. And their kid comes to treatment. Now, whether they came from a different state or they're local, whatever, they come to aftercare and they want to see the fruits of their kind of like their commitment, but it just doesn't happen right away. How long did it take for you to kind of like start getting the wheels in motion?
Until like I had like some type of like positive, like, okay, like I feel better and I want to do this and all these things. It probably took at least 3 to 4 months.
Okay.
To literally just like to start breaking the surface of that. Like it still wasn't full, like I'm on board and I want to be sober for, the rest of my life and do all these like things that I have to do. Like it literally took a long time for just my mental health to be stable and like my body to actually feel okay again, and it probably wasn't until 6 months that I started feeling better than that. And then a year I felt a little better. And, after that first year, it was like, okay, like I'm starting to see results.
Yep.
Like I'm starting to see results from the things I'm doing now. The first year was it was up and down, left and right, kind of crazy at times, like mentally, like, I had to get, like we were talking about the meds earlier. Like there was a lot of trial and error with that. There was a lot of trial and error of, what I want my recovery to look like. There was a lot of like trial and error of like what works for me. Does meditation work? Does working out work? There was all these different things that, I was willing to try. And, it took a little trial and error time to kind of get everything situated.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I do remember that the first few months, I mean, you really did struggle to get acclimated and get adjusted and get used to it and just kind of find your flow. But once you found it, you found it. And, in the beginning of the talk, you said it's like I was able to find my passion, my purpose, my, meaning to my recovery. I think once someone hooks onto that, whatever that looks like for them, the rest of it becomes, if the foundation's good, the rest of it becomes kind of a lot easier. So is it safe to say that years 3 and 4 of your recovery, I mean, I know different things happen, but in terms of just purely staying sober, did it get easier, and has it gotten easier?
Oh, 100% easier.
Yeah. Okay. That's right there. Yeah.
Yeah. It's, and I don't even want to say it this way because it makes, it's like you hear those things in meetings, like don't oversay, you're like overconfident and stuff. Yeah. But like, I am confident for the rest of my life that I will not use again.
Yeah. Why do you say that out of curiosity? Like, what's the level?
It's just like I've had this mental shift over the past years of I know what I want for my life, and that was a big deal because I never knew what I wanted for my life. Right? It's like I'm engaged. I met my fiance out here in California. We're going to be married in November, which is crazy.
Congratulations!
It's crazy, But like that's a purpose in my life. Like I want to have a family. I want to do these things, and I want to provide more for my family. And I can't really provide more for my family if I'm, stopping on the way home to get beer or liquor. And it's like I view everything in my life as like a purpose to it now, and it makes it a lot easier to say, hey, today I'm not going to drink. Hey, today I don't need drugs. Do I go through things still? Yes, of course. Like, is my job stressful? Yes, of course at times, and like life is stressful at times. But I always think back to the 40-day withdrawal. I always think back to all these terrible times that I used to have. And it's like, okay, is this problem as bad as that? No.
Yeah.
And like now I can get through these problems and work through these problems. Am I still in therapy? Yes. I still maintain like some of the things that, helped me to get here. But now in therapy, I'm talking about now problems and not, past problems. So, there's always hurdles. There's always going to be walls that, you hit. And then it's kind of like, how do I climb over this one? Okay, we'll figure it out. And, today I can say I can go anywhere in the world and I will not drink and I will not use it. And like, it's a pretty crazy statement. Like I couldn't have told myself that 4.5 years ago, sleeping in a hotel room with a bar in my back, living with my parents in a hotel room, like,
I'll tell you this. So here's a good question. Remember when you were a Black Bear and you said the option was to go to California for aftercare, probably go back home to the Carolinas and stuff like that. At the time, you said if I went back home, I knew what was going to happen because it kept happening over and over again. Between now and then, like between this moment and then, have you gone back to back home to visit family?
Oh yeah.
And yeah. So I know you have. I'm just asking. But have you gone back home to visit family? And if so, are you able to go in the same areas, same streets, same places, and have a completely different experience than you did before?
Yeah, 100%. I've been back, I don't know, probably 8, 9 times. And it's a small town, all the same streets connect to like, the same streets, and you see places where like everywhere I go, I see, well, I was waiting in that parking lot. Oh, I met this guy here, or, oh, there's that guy's house. I got drugs from him one time. And, actually one of my buddies who, it's sad to say he's still in his addiction to this day, had a lot of different issues happen to him. But anyway, I went out to dinner with him. Big Adderall guy, like he doesn't really do anything else. And it was funny to see it from a different perspective of, we went out to this nice dinner and we're sitting there and he's like, yeah, I'm not ordering any food. Because now I know that he's taking it because he's not eating. And literally he talked about himself for like 50 minutes straight, nonstop. And I was like, damn, that was me. But he didn't ever ask me like, hey, how are you doing? How's California? How's Stephanie? How's it? And it's fascinating to see. And it's like, man, I don't want to be that.
Yeah.
And like, I don't think like not everybody's in a place where like in their recovery to do something like that. But it was nice to kind of see a different perspective and be like, man, like that was me. Like I was a selfish, like it's all about me. I'm not going to ask you any questions about how you're doing. But yeah, I mean, I've been back and, I've, stayed sober. And I remember the first time I asked you if I could go back home.
What did I say? I'm just curious.
Yeah. It was like Jim too. And he was like, well, just make sure you have support. And like, here's my number and all these things. And I was like thinking in my head, I'm like, I'm going to be okay. Like, this is okay. I'm going to be okay. Which,
Yeah.
I was, but it's like, I understand now, doing this job, it's like, I understand it,
Yeah.
of like the like threat and the like the level that of like, going back home can create to, possible relapse and stuff. So,
Yeah, I know. Actually, Jim's watching this, by the way. He put
oh,
she thing, miracles of recovery. He put a little thing in there. And
nice.
he also said that you're looking really good too. So, our father just asked a question here for you. It says,
Okay.
how important is the concept of taking it one day at a time for you, at least?
Especially early on. Now it's like, I have different goals and I can start thinking like, not far future terms all the time, but like, like I have goals and it's like, okay, what do I need to do today to get one step closer to that goal? And then, but on the other hand, it's like, I like to be present and I like to try to just be like, what, I only have today and that's all I can do. Like this, it's okay to plan, but like today is the only day I have. And what can I do today to help somebody? What can I do to like, do something positive for myself? Like to like, better my life so I can help others in a more positive way, so pretty important, especially early on. It was very important because like I had no business thinking of like, oh, what am I going to do next week for this job when I'm like 20 days sober, so,
Yeah.
very important in the beginning and still, important now in different degrees. So.
Yeah, is it safe to say that it shifts a little bit the way the one day at a time concept looks? It shifts a little bit because I think in early recovery, it's really about survival. I mean, in my opinion, and
Mhm.
it's like in order to survive, you have to take the next indicated step, whatever's in front of you. And by the way, this one day at a time concept for some individuals could sometimes be 1 hour at a time. And believe it or not, I know this sounds crazy. Sometimes it could be 1 minute at a time to allow us to get through adversity and challenges in early recovery. But later on, we still live one day at a time, but we do look into next week, next month, next year. And if the actions I'm taking today are going to get me closer to my goals, or are they going to take me away from my goals? And that's always the dance that we do. Am I walking towards my future, my goals, my dreams, my aspirations, or am I walking away from it? And so I do know you still live one day at a time, even though you've accomplished a lot. And I
Yeah.
do know you went back to school. So tell us a little bit about what you're up to these days in terms of your profession, your professional world, and kind of how you became who you are now.
So I went back to school when I was in Buckeye to, it was kind of like a school that specialized in the addiction field. It wasn't like, a normal type of college. It was kind of like a expedited, where it was like 6 months of school instead of like a year and a half or 2 years or however, some of them do it differently. But ended up with a 4.0 in there, which was pretty insane because like when it started, I was like, how am I going to do this without Adderall? Like, how am I going to study? And actually like it went pretty well. I was, it was a lot more work, but like that was okay because, I actually, it made me feel a lot better, about myself. Like I accomplished that without having to take a substance, having to do these things. So, and brought my self-esteem up. So after that, I did internship through Buckeye and, got to like hang out with Jim and all the other counselors and kind of see the world as not a client anymore and like see it from a different perspective. And I got my first job after that. I was actually a tech and I worked in a detox technician. And that was just god awful bad. But you know what? Like there was like one of those stepping stones and like my first, like I still get to help people, but the job just wasn't what I wanted it to be. And I actually got laid off. And that was like one of the best things that happened to me at the time. It was terrifying, but I got my first case management job at a place that didn't fully agree with like how they did things, but it was kind of like entrance into, doing what I wanted to do. And then actually I met my fiance. And then the reason I mentioned that is because she found the link to South Coast Behavioral Health, where I worked for 2.5 years and made it all the way up to be like a lead case manager there. And like I was in charge of like 7 other case managers, which is, just giving me that job seems like I'm in charge of people. That sounds, crazy at the time, but I did that, and then I chose to leave to come to Northbound Treatment Center in Garden Grove, and we have a little building in Newport as well. And
Sure.
This is what I'm doing now, and I'm actually at work today.
Yeah, well, thank you.
I have a weird schedule. It's like Tuesday to Saturday. It's weird.
Shout out to Northbound for allowing you to take 35 minutes out to do this for us. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Yeah.
But
Saturday's kind of a light day. So
yeah, no, it's okay, man. I get it. It ebbs and flows, and I'm proud of you. I want you to know that for not the man you have become, but for the man you're becoming. I mean, this is where you are right now is not where you're going to end up. I promise you that in life in general. You're going to continue moving forward. You're obviously going to be a husband. You're probably going to be a father. You're going to have a family.
Sounds terrifying.
It sounds terrifying, but it's like, hey, which part of the process wasn't terrifying, right? So the last question I have for you, I just want to really highlight and capture what you're doing today, because that's really phenomenal. The last question I have for you is, if there's another Eric out there, if there's another Erica out there, a guy, girl, whatever, female, young, old, mom, dad, whatever. If someone's struggling with addictions right now watching this, or their loved one's struggling with addictions right now watching this, what would you, as someone who has been there, done that, recovered, healed, all that kind of stuff, and has seen it from both sides, what would you tell that person or that family?
Well, first would be just like, don't give up on that person. I mean, you always got to hold boundaries. You always got to, have those things in place of like how much you're willing to take, or, as a parent, and like, but at the same time, all it takes is like one thing to click, and then they're off and running. All it takes is like to hear one thing. I mean, I still remember stuff Jim said, like there's like not a lot, but there's like a few things, and it's like these things help me now still.
Yeah.
So and just try to keep getting help. I mean, it only takes literally one time.
Yeah, so I want to summarize that. It's don't give up. Literally don't ever give up on human beings. Number 2, set your boundaries and protect yourself, because if you don't set boundaries, you're gonna get eaten up by the addiction process. And the third one is keep trying to find help. Now, there's help in different forms and shapes. The help doesn't have to be you, but it's out there, it's available, it's accessible. And that's a beautiful message, Eric. And I do stand by your message wholeheartedly. I believe that's it's very effective. And honestly, man, just thank you so much for this. I'm going to post this on our Buckeye alumni page, get some people to watch it that might know you from when you went through our program. And feel free to share this with anybody you want. There's a lot of people here. Let me just read you this. Jim said, so when I talked about, you're going to have a, bigger career, be a husband, have kids, he said, all is doable now when nothing was doable before.
True.
Lean wrote, thank you for sharing. Not only does it give us perspective as family members, but it gives us hope and reminds us to be patient with our loved ones and the process. Absolutely.
Nice.
Hossein wrote, really appreciate your inputs and sharing us your journey. I think my mom wrote something into it. When I wrote about, when I talked about her, she's like, yes, what a crazy codependent mom at that time. My mom was next level codependent. I used to get
mine too, man.
I used to get hammered all the time at bars and stuff like that. And back then there was no like taxis were too expensive, and there was no like Uber ride shares or anything like that. So my mom used to just like pick me up at the most like wicked places in the middle of the night.
I understand
those conversations. Or I just get home somewhere else, and then I need to go pick up my car in the morning. So I call my mom and she picked me up. I mean, it was just a nightmare, man.
Yeah, so, I don't, it's funny, man. It's like and then like, here's the thing. It's like, did I have good times too? Yes. Like there were good times I've had drinking. There was good times I had, well, maybe not doing drugs in the later years, but definitely in the beginning, there was good times, but it's like the bad times definitely outweighed like memories that I have, or memories lack thereof of times where I was drinking, Yeah,
you're at the 30 milligrams of Xanax, man. Don't act like you remember anything that happened to you.
Actually, dude, I was driving around selling insurance. Like I had such a high tolerance that like I was like functioning. It was insane. Like
That's
I
scary, by
don't,
the way. That's really
huh?
scary. The fact that you're
Yeah, I
functioning.
don't know. I don't know how I looked in their houses. You know, probably like a crazy person, but like, yeah, it was insane, man.
This Chris he's been following us for a few weeks now.
Oh,
Someone that's
nice.
in the recovery space. He wrote, "God bless you and the growth and strength you found on the path. I'm sorry you went through losing your brother, but take heart in knowing he is proud of the man you've become today." So that's a stranger writing
Oh,
that
thank
to
you
you,
so much. Nice.
which is a really beautiful comment. So thanks for that
Yeah,
comment, Chris.
thank you so much.
But all that being said, man, this is it. I
All
want you to
right.
go enjoy the rest of your day at work, I guess.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you doing this for us. Yeah, love it. Appreciate you. I know there's some papers you need me to sign, so just send those over to me and I'll sign them for you.
Okay.
Okay.
No problem. Thanks,
All right,
man.
buddy. You take
All
care.
right. Bye.
Bye bye.